What did you say? Flagpole.
Take your stinking paw off me, you damn dirty ape!
No! You're a wizard, Harry.
In spite of everything you've done for them, eventually they will hate you.
And I care! What is the deal?
No, do me a favor, Captain. Go fuck yourself.
Language.
Why so serious?
What's your favorite scary movie?
I'm Vengeance.
Avengers!
Assemble.
Okay, so unfortunately, Andrew cannot be here. He ditched us again. But I have another guest, and the story of this is pretty straightforward, but kind of weird, I guess. Because we started our podcast at almost the exact same time, so I guess it's best if you tell it, Keith.
Oh, thank you. No, I noticed another podcast with the same name as mine that started 2 months after mine. Well, I don't know when your YouTube channel started, so maybe I'm the one who fucked up. I don't know. But so instead of getting mad about it and getting stupid, I just reached out to Braden and said, why don't we have a crossover? And this is the second half of the crossover, because we recorded an episode of my show with you guys on it, and now I'm on your show to talk about a much better movie than you had to talk about on my show.
Yeah, so Andrew made it to talk about the bad movie over on his show, Night of the Living Dead Resurrection, so, go check that out over on his show, also called That So Random. And yeah, it's kind of weird on both our parts, I guess, because I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to podcasting, and I already had a built-in audience with YouTube, so I just started uploading this on YouTube. Had no idea I could get free podcast hosting at all. I'm like, I can't afford to pay for that. So our first episode was uploaded on September 10th. I checked earlier. I was like, So, but it was only YouTube until January after New Year's. Then I finally started uploading it on other platforms. So it's really odd that we came up with the same name. Our shows they're pretty different, but same name and random in a different sense, I guess.
Yeah, because mine's That's So Random, a random movie podcast. It's a little more specific, because you guys just kind of talk about randomly, whatever. That's what That's So Random is, whereas mine is a different movie every week that's chosen completely at random. I have a magic button, and I push it, and it goes from everything that's streaming, picks a movie completely at random. So I never know what I'm going to get. It's been a wild variety of stuff, mostly bad, a couple good. But even when you even just consider how much shit is on Tubi, the chances of getting a bad movie are pretty good. So
yeah, if you want to hear some talk about movies that you may have not have ever heard of, go give his show a listen for sure, because I haven't heard of most of the movies that you've talked about.
Yeah, there's been some. There was Dark Crystal. We did a James Bond movie. We did a Highlander movie. But yeah, mostly it's stuff that I've never heard of, and I know a lot of movies. So, well, we did Slumber Party Massacre 2, which I had at least heard of. Hadn't seen it yet.
Yeah, but we're talking about urban legend because I like horror, and we don't talk about horror enough, and it's not really something I can just do with my straight-up YouTube content, so that's what a podcast is for, right?
Sure. It's for whatever you want.
So, urban legend. First of all, the only reason I even watched this movie, because this was my second time watching it, but the only reason I watched it in the first place is because Michael Rosenbaum's in it, and I just like Michael Rosenbaum a lot. I listened to his podcast. He was Lex Luthor on Smallville, of course, which I never watched Smallville because that was little before my time, and it's way too long. I can't devote myself to 10 seasons of a show. But he was also the Flash in Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, which I grew up with, which is the main reason I love him, I guess.
Yeah, I like him. And me being an old man, I did watch all of Smallville. Yeah, he's great as the Flash too. I actually watched a movie of his God, what was it called? He wrote and directed a movie.
Oh,
that I
Back in the
watched.
Day?
Back in the Day, I watched a couple weeks ago, which was, like,
I think
it was okay.
I enjoyed it, but some of the humor I did not enjoy. Like, I'm not a fan of childish humor. Maybe I'm a little too serious when it comes to that stuff, but, like, I don't know, fart jokes don't do it for me. I'm like, man, why?
Yeah, fart jokes and Harlan Williams standing in the street in his tighty whities screaming about how somebody's gonna rape him for 2 solid minutes.
Oh yeah, oh my god. I was
It was
invested.
not.
Yeah, I was pretty invested in Rosenbaum's and Baccarin's character's story though.
But yeah, that's the thing. Also, she's in it too, and she's always great. So
Yeah, I think the first thing I saw her in was Gotham, and then of course she was in Deadpool 2, and well, she did this movie before even Gotham, so.
yeah, well, I knew her from Firefly first, probably.
Oh yeah, yeah. I never got into like Firefly or anything like that, but yeah, I know she was in it.
And then Deadpool for sure, and yeah, the one season of Gotham I watched.
I stuck with Gotham, and the only reasons were Penguin and Riddler, and also I'm just such a huge Batman fan that even though it wasn't really about Batman, it was about his villains, which is the best rogues gallery ever, and I don't even think that's up for debate. So I stuck with it just because of my Batman nerdism, I guess.
Yeah, I love Batman too. It just was, I don't know, it was not for me. I got through the end of season 1.
Yeah, that's
And
understandable.
I was like, no, this isn't for me.
Yeah, Penguin,
Even though and I hated Fish Mooney and they killed her, and I was like, all right, cool, maybe I do want to watch it now that she's gone, but then I never came back to it. And then she came back again, right?
Yeah, eventually. Like,
See,
people kept coming back from the dead. I didn't understand what was happening, but I like Penguin a lot. He's really the one that kept me watching. And season 3 almost made me fall off. The Court of Owls storyline I did not enjoy at all. But
I didn't even know they did Court of Owls. That would make me interested, but if they did it badly, then maybe not.
yeah, I don't know. Court of Owls have always been like an interesting concept, but most stuff I've seen, which I guess is mainly just Gotham, and also there's an animated movie, which I actually like that animated movie, but most of it doesn't really like I think the concept is solid, but the execution is usually not there when it comes to like on-screen media.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, I hate to say it, but that's DC for you.
Yeah.
DC's a little behind the ball still on a lot of that stuff.
DC's best thing, I think, since like the Dark Knight trilogy has always been their animation, because their live action films are always like hit and miss so far. Their live action shows the same, they're hit and miss, and their animation is usually like always solid.
Yeah, I haven't seen all the DC animated stuff, but I've seen a bunch of them, certainly up to at least a point. And I liked a lot of them. I wish Marvel would have stuck with, because they were doing animated movies for a little while. They did like a Doctor Strange one and Young Avengers, and
Then they do,
Wolverine, and then they just stopped.
yeah, I don't know. I've always been more interested in DC than Marvel, but Marvel, they're killing it with the live action game. Anyway, Urban Legend also has Jared Leto.
Urban Legend.
Who's about to play Morbius if we're sticking to the comic book trend. He also played the Joker, like the worst Joker ever. I don't think it was I don't think it was his fault at all, though. It was definitely the script, the writing, and like apparently 20 minutes of what he did was edited out of the movie. So I don't blame Leto for that.
No, I think obviously he's been a good actor in things, just not that thing. Yeah. And he probably is running a sex cult now, but I mean, he's a weird dude, yeah, but he is a good actor.
Interesting character. So yeah, this was in his earlier days. This movie's from 1998, so this was the year before I was born.
I saw this in the theater. And then not again until last week.
Maybe you can... Oh, really? That's interesting. Maybe you can tell me this.
Well,
Was
Okay.
gas really like 114 in 1998? Because when she goes to the gas station, it says 114.
It probably depended on where you were, because different states have different
Yeah,
amounts of gas
that's
tax and
true.
stuff. But that's possible. Certainly before like the Iraq War started, gas was probably cheaper.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's
So
possible because even like apparently I watched a video the other day and apparently you can't say the virus that's going around. You can't say the word because you'll get demonetized. So since I'm gonna put this on YouTube, I'm not gonna say it. Smovid. Apparently, I mean, gas went down a ton once that hit. So it was like down to I don't even know how low. It was like 170 or something in Arkansas. But
yeah, and at the time, like I don't remember what gas prices were at certain times because you don't. I guess I wasn't forward and thinking enough to be like, I wonder if 5 years from now it's going to be $3 a gallon. Like, I didn't stop to recognize that, like, enjoy it while you can, because, well, and a lot of it's inflation too.
yeah, definitely. It's like movie tickets. It's like how much a movie made 20 years ago. It would have made a lot more today.
Yeah, you got to count inflation. So I don't know how much Urban Legend made with inflation, but
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't even know what it made. I'll look that up, I guess.
see, and I'm wondering why this was your pick, because I feel like of the because Scream, not because it's bad, it's fine. Like the movie's, it's not like the greatest, but it's fine. It's a general enjoyable watch, but like I feel like it's sort of the forgotten one out of this bunch of, because like Scream hit, and then suddenly it was teen slasher time again, and I feel like it was the Scream franchise, and then I Know You Did Last Summer, and then maybe Urban Legend is third out of that group. There might have even been something, but I feel like it's kind of forgotten by people mostly.
Yeah, definitely, and that's kind of why I picked it because I think it's forgotten. I think it's kind of underrated. Like, I mean, I don't think it's hated, but it's not loved either, which I don't exactly love it. But also, Michael Rosenbaum, I just like him a lot. And I wanted to talk about a movie with him.
Sure.
And it's also horror. I enjoy horror, so horror, Michael Rosenbaum, underrated, all that. I love Scream. I really want to talk about those at some point, but I feel like so many people have already talked about them. Like, I don't know anyone that's talked about Urban Legends, so.
See, and I like that. That's very much in keeping with the spirit of my podcast as well, which, when you're getting movies at random, yeah, you're getting movies that no one's ever, we got some random, the $2 Bet, or some random gangster movie from the 40s. We got, the world's oldest living bridesmaid, a TV movie from 1986, like it's guaranteed movies that no other podcast is talking about, which is either a good thing or a bad thing. But, so yeah, I think Urban Legend fits into that as well.
Yeah, so this made $72,500,000 pretty much. A little more, but not that much, which I guess today that would be probably over 100 million, which wouldn't be too bad for what I'm sure this movie had a smaller budget.
Yeah, for 1998, 72 is actually not bad. I mean, that's a hit, not like a smash hit or anything, but that's, it was enough for them to make at least one sequel, which I don't know if it's direct to video or not, but there is at least one sequel, possibly two, to this, which I have not seen.
Oh, really? I didn't even know there were sequels. I knew they set it up at the end, but I didn't know they actually did something with it, or does it just have nothing to do with the ending of this?
Well, there's Urban Legend. Well, it's Urban Legend, and then they did Urban Legend Final Cut, even though it was only the second one. They already called it the final. That was in 2000.
They're like, we're done.
I don't think it has anything to do with the first one, at all.
I mean, he killed most of the characters, so except for, I guess, the main three, the three at the top of the casting call.
But it has, I'm looking at IMDb here, and it has kind of an interesting cast like the first one does. It's got Jennifer Morrison from, House and Once Upon a Time, or that Once show, Joey Lawrence, Anthony Anderson. There's some kind of people in there. Not quite as, the cast for this first one is pretty stacked, actually, of like 1990 or 1998. Exactly the people you want in this movie at that time, you know?
Yeah, this was like, well, I know Rosenbaum he was kind of coming up, and I guess this was like right before Leto blew up, because this was like right before Fight Club, and then when he moved on and did bigger, better things.
Yeah, it would have been a couple years after My So-Called Life, which was his big break, and then, but before he became like a serious actor, you know, and was doing like Dave Fincher movies and shit. So, yeah, it was in that weird period between those where he was still figuring out what he's gonna do. Yeah, it's him. It's Rosenbaum. You got Alicia Witt, who was kind of an up and coming that never wound up. Like she's done a lot of TV sets. Like she was supposed to be like kind of the new it girl at the time, and kind of didn't really go as planned.
Was that the one that played? I'm looking up the cast right now, but was that the one that played Natalie? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the main girl. Rebecca Gayheart, who was like a supermodel at the time.
I thought her
Joshua Jackson and Tara Reid is like your American Pie and Dawson's Creek crowd.
I thought Rebecca Gayheart's acting was just, it was not that good in this movie. It was probably my biggest problem with the film, to be honest. And it wasn't.
No, she was a model.
Yeah, like, most of her line deliveries were, I mean, they were okay. They were tolerable until like the end scene. The end scene when she starts getting all crazy and stuff didn't. It just came off as pretty silly. But like,
yeah, it definitely had a feel of like, okay, you're an insane person. Be that. She's like, how do I do that? And I'm like, I don't know, big eyes. So she's just like staring with big eyes at everything. That's the best she can do.
Yeah, and just her like facial expressions and like motions through the whole movie, like it seems so obvious that she just looked guilty the whole time. Like she knew what was happening, but
yeah, and they throw some red herrings at you, but if you've seen these kind of movies before, you know you're expecting the red herrings. You're like, okay, well, it's not Jared Leto then. If my options are Jared Leto or her, it's got to be her, because that's going to be the surprising one, you know? Like, Jared Leto's too obvious.
Yeah, they definitely made you think at one point it would be the janitor, at a couple points actually, because she finds the jacket later on in the backseat. Everyone had that jacket though. Wexler had it, the janitor had it, the killer had it. Like,
yeah, a
like,
very popular item.
Is that the only jacket that everyone has?
I guess.
Yeah, apparently. Oh, yeah, Wexler also played by Robert Englund.
Robert Englund? Yeah. Pretty good. And Tosh, her goth roommate, is Danielle Harris from the Halloween movies.
Ah.
And that's about it for recognizable cast that I can see. Everybody else is, yeah. But it's a lot of, I mean, for 1998, for not, the knockoff Scream sort of, it's a pretty decent little cast.
It was interesting to do like an urban legend killer, because I mean, I didn't even know most of these urban legends. The ones they like really go in on, I didn't know really. The only one the iconic one is Bloody Mary, of course, and they just touch on that. They don't go into it, which I guess they can't really, because that's Raising the Dead, and they were trying to make this semi-realistic.
Well, and that's kind of, it's an enjoyable movie, but I think my biggest issue with it is the killer doesn't stick. Unlike the killer in Scream, who like, this is their MO, they're sticking to it. This urban legend killer is real picky choosy on when he's going to kill someone with an urban legend or when he's just going to stab him and throw him off a balcony. Like,
yeah.
It's not
like,
he doesn't stick with it.
Just killed Sasha to death with an axe. Like, that's not an urban legend. You just murdered her with an axe. You weren't in the backseat of a car again.
But like, yeah, like the dog in the micro. Yeah, it starts strong. And I think the opening scene with, which reminds me, the guy working at the gas station is what's his name? Who plays Chucky and from Lord of the Rings?
Don't know. I don't know.
Why is he not showing up on IMDb? Did he have his name stricken from this movie?
Of course, he had a speech impediment though, so he couldn't warn the chick properly. And she's already paranoid about stuff somehow. I don't see how she's like so paranoid and so scared, but doesn't think to like look back in her car or something.
Brad Dourif. That's who I'm thinking of.
Okay.
Yeah, that first scene is really intense and really cool. With kind of the false, like she's scared of him, but he's just trying to help her and he can't because he has a speech impediment. Like I thought that setup was really cool, and then it's kind of downhill from there. But he's trying to warn her. Like she drives away all scared of him, and then he's like, "But there's someone in your back seat," but she can't hear him because she's already gone. And yeah, there's someone in her back seat.
Yeah, I remember the first time I watched this, that scene actually like it creeped me out because I was like, I didn't know about that urban legend first of all, so it made me paranoid every time I got in my car. Which I have a small ass car. I mean, if someone was in there, I'd definitely notice. But because I watched this at like 3 a.m. when I first saw it, like it's dark as fuck. I'm like, okay, this already has creepy vibes. And then he's like, "There's someone in the back seat." I like got chills. I'm like, oh, okay. Then she just gets decapitated.
Yeah, it's funny how you can be a grown ass man who knows, and this is me too, who knows this shit is not real, who has watched behind the scenes documentaries on how they make movies, and
yeah, that's why.
But you can still be freaked out enough that like when you go in your bathroom, you move the shower curtain to make sure there's nobody in the fucking shower.
Yeah, but the thing about like stuff like that, not this movie necessarily, but that kill, it's just with an axe. Like someone can murder you with an axe in real life. It's kind of like slashers. The scariest thing about slashers is that they are kind of realistic. Like someone can just go crazy and you might die.
Except Freddy, but that's why I like him the best, because he's not realistic.
Okay, so I haven't watched those movies, and honestly, the reason is I've had experience with like a lot of sleep problems, like nightmares and stuff, and they feel real. So I'm like, if I watch this, it's gonna like fuck me up, because I'm gonna have a nightmare after I see this movie and think that Freddy Krueger is actually killing me, and then wake up hyperventilating.
Yeah, that might not be for you then.
Yeah.
That's too bad. They're good. He's my favorite of the three between him, Jason, and Michael Myers. If they're the big three, Freddy's the one I like the best. But
yeah, I've heard the later movies get kind of silly, but like
they do get silly. But so do the Halloweens, and so do the Jasons.
I mean,
so
you kind of got to after like a few movies.
Well, my thing with Freddy is at least even when his personality gets annoying, at least he has a personality. Whereas Jason is just a big lumbering mute dum-dum who walks
talk
through the woods. They have no personality. And Michael Myers is just like, oh, what's his deal? Oh, he was born evil. Okay. But he doesn't talk. He doesn't, which I can see why that would be maybe even scary to some people. But I don't know, just Freddy has like a real, like a Bugs Bunny personality of like, what's worse than someone killing you? Someone like making fun of you while they kill you is like worse.
Yeah, getting taunted as you die. Like the worst death possible.
But as far as the urban legends in the movie, like a lot of them are done sort of off to the side that have nothing to do with the killer. Like the pop rocks and soda thing is just the teacher showing it to them.
Yeah.
Or, well, I guess the dog in the microwave does happen.
Yeah, why'd they have to kill the dog? Like that should just be a movie sin. Don't kill a dog unless it has something to do with the plot. Like John Wick, you killed his dog and that pissed John Wick off. Okay, I can roll with that. But if you're just killing a dog to kill a dog, why?
Yeah, people love their dogs. That's for sure. They don't care that people are getting killed, but don't kill a dog.
That's me. I'm like, I don't care. These people are real, and then the moment you kill a dog, even though you didn't really kill that dog, I'm like pissed.
Man, I watched a movie the other day where it was made in the 70s, but it's in Australia, and they're like on a kangaroo hunt, and it's footage of them actually like shooting the shit out of a bunch of kangaroos. And it was making me. Yeah, it's called Wake and Fright, I think. It's an Australian movie from the 70s. It's on Amazon. I watched it the other day. But there's a long, like 10 or 15 minutes of that movie is just them shooting kangaroos like for realsies. And it was kind of, it started to get upsetting to me a little bit because it's but I guess I don't know in Australia, are kangaroos like raccoons where it's like we have to thin the herd or something? I don't know, but like it wasn't fake. Like they were for legit shooting kangaroos in this movie, a lot of them, and I was like, "Is this necessary to see?" But maybe that was, I don't know, maybe that's part of it.
Yeah. Also, that opening scene when she's at the gas station, you can see the attendant, like he repeatedly looks in the back seat, and I'm like, why doesn't she just look back there? Like he keeps looking back there. Why is she not just curious? Like, why are you looking back there, dude?
Well, because it's Brad Dourif, and he's a weird looking guy. He's talking weird too because he has a speech impediment, and he doesn't do himself any favors by being like, "Oh, hey, come in here. I got to show you something."
Yeah, then
which
lock
is like
the door.
The universe, yeah, and then lock her in when he's trying to warn her, but that's like universal. You might as well just make a T-shirt. That's the universal logo for. I'm a psycho killer, and you're not leaving this gas station alive. Like, so he could have approached it better. Write her a note or something.
Yeah, for sure. Like,
just hand her a note.
Yeah, just write a note, and like hand her the card and hand the note with it, and make sure she'll see that note when she goes to put her card back or something. Like, just be like, hey, there's someone in your back seat.
Unless he stutters when he writes too.
Yeah. Also, she passed a like full.
No, go ahead.
She passed like a busy gas station on the way to that gas station, which was probably like 2 miles apart max. And why did her fuel light not come on until she was literally running out of gas? Like it came on when she ran out of gas.
It might be like a time compressed kind of thing where she just wasn't paying attention because she's too busy singing and rocking out.
Oh my god! Yeah, she couldn't sing. It was so bad. I'm like, I can 100% sing better than that.
But this killer needs to work on some things because I don't know if, like, the hiding in the back seat that's a cool idea, but waiting to kill them when they're doing 60 down the road.
Yeah.
And you're in the back seat with no seatbelt on, and you cut their head off while they're driving. Like, you don't know what that car is going to fly into a tree or off a cliff, and you're in it still. Like, maybe not while they're driving is the best way to do that. I don't know.
Yeah, the car can crash. You have an axe, so even if axe could just ram right into you on the impact.
Yeah, and how are you getting a good arm swing arc from the back seat? Like a knife would be a way more practical, or something like the axe. You got to get some swing behind it. And I don't think there's room in the back seat to do that.
Yeah, you have no room. So the thing with the pop rock scene, they also bring up the call from the same house. The calls coming from the attic above where the women's keeping her children. I've never seen Black Christmas, but I want to see Black Christmas sometime. It just made me think of Black Christmas because, I mean, everyone knows what that movie's about, surely. Anyone that's into horror at all, anyway.
Yeah, the calls coming from inside the house thing.
Yeah, was that a thing before Black Christmas, or, like, did Black Christmas pretty much invent that? I guess it was an urban legend, I don't know.
Yeah. That's the thing. Did it become an urban legend because it was in this movie, or was it in the movie because it was an urban legend? Kind of like the Hook Man, Oh, she could hear the scratching on the roof from the Hook Man outside or whatever, Was that... I assume that was just an urban legend probably in the 40s and 50s even. as soon as teenagers were out parking and necking. But I don't know for sure. I can tell you this, though. The urban legend in this movie about someone hiding under your car and slashing your Achilles tendon when you go to get in,
Yeah.
that's not an urban legend. I grew up in Kansas City, and that shit happened for real. It was
Yeah.
on the news. Like, hey, this 8 times in the last 2 weeks, the mall parking lot, someone has been hiding under cars and cutting people's tendons when they go and then stealing their car. Like, so that's not an urban legend. Or maybe someone was inspired by the urban legend, but that I know for sure that happened for real. So
Yeah, that doesn't seem like an urban legend. That seems like something a legit psychopath or just someone that's evil would do. Someone that
it's just a smart plan.
Yeah, I guess you shouldn't do it though.
No, but if that's, I mean, if your reason de artra is stealing cars and you don't care what you do to get it, I mean, that's a pretty good way to do it.
Bro, you don't gotta cut my tendons. I'll give you my car.
Yeah, no shit. You can have it.
I'm just gonna be checking under my car every day now for about a week until I forget about this. And one day it actually happens, and I'll be like, "Damn it! Should have checked my car."
They warned me.
I don't understand how these people have most of these people have such low regard for human life, because when the goth chick dies, you literally hear someone say, "Are you sure she's dead? She's looked like that for years." I'm like, "Oh my god, you're such a bitch." Like, would anyone say that in real life?
Have you been on Twitter lately? I mean, if anything, this movie was ahead of its time, because people will say shit like that online all the time.
I don't know. I feel like if you actually saw the body, I don't know. I think you would be traumatized a little bit if you were an actual human being. Yeah, poor Natalie. She just sees everyone die. Damon's trying to hit on her, first of all.
Well, that's the curse of the final girl, is you got to see everyone else. You have to watch all your friends die.
Yeah. I mean, how many of them were actually her friends, though? That's my question.
Yeah, or even friends with each other. Like, they didn't get along. Jared Leto and Rosenbaum didn't get along. I guess they liked Tara Reid, but they were kind of like, it's weird that she has this porno radio show. Like, none of them really seemed like they were very close friends at all.
Rosenbaum was dating her. Rosenbaum was dating Tara Reid.
Yeah.
And the killer chick, Brenda, she was trying to get with Jared Leto the whole movie. Her whole motivation is a dude, which, I mean, if he was, I feel like we should have gotten more of that. I mean, it was a twist, so we couldn't have really, I guess. But she's doing it because she was in love with her boyfriend. They were about to get married, and he got killed by the urban legend of... Is this an urban legend? I feel like this is some shit that's probably actually happened, too. Someone driving without their headlights and then, flashing.
Yeah, I can't say if it's ever actually happened or not, but it's certainly one I've heard a lot growing up and stuff was... Yeah, if you see someone driving with no headlights, don't flash your lights to, remind them to turn their lights on, because that's the signal they're waiting for to come kill you, because they're crazy psychopaths driving around without lights on or something. But yeah, that's the inciting incident we find out in flashback, is that the Alicia Witt's Natalie, the main character, accidentally killed this girl's fiance when her and her friends were out driving around, fucking around.
Well, it was actually
did the headlight thing.
The first chick she killed is the one that actually killed him, because she was driving the car, but it was Natalie's car.
Yeah. But at that point, you could stop, right? If you have her, and then if you get Natalie, why are you killing all these other people in between?
Yeah, that aren't exactly her friends. If they were actually her friends, maybe I'd get it. You're killing the people close to her, but she's not that close with any of those people. You're just traumatizing her for no reason by killing people that have nothing to do with this.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's to torture Natalie with the final girl's curse, like I just talked about.
I mean,
but...
I can get the roommate thing because like she woke up and saw the dead body, but like Parker, I mean, she didn't see Parker's body until like towards the end, so you basically just killed him for no freaking reason. Sasha,
Yeah,
they were kind
the
of friends, so I get that. Yeah, sure, kill Sasha.
the professor and the dean, like, what did they do to you? What did Robert Englund do to you?
Yeah, he did nothing. Damon, like, well, she obviously didn't like him. She wasn't gonna have sex with him. She wasn't like trying to do anything. She pretty much like fuck off, get out of here, get out of my life. But just kills him, just cause why not?
And it's built into it also sort of not only the kind of the larger sort of known nationally and even globally urban legends, but sort of the idea of the more local urban legends, like because like the rumor about this school is that there was some massacre there at a party a couple of years ago or 10, 20 years ago, whatever it was. And it's one of those things that you like hear, but you never know, like maybe it's true, maybe it wasn't. So there's like very, very local urban legends as well. So that's kind of cool that it wasn't just ones that like everyone knows.
Yeah,
every little town has their own urban legends.
Yeah, I haven't heard most of them. Like I don't know a lot of urban legends. I know Bloody Mary, and that's probably about it, to be honest. Other than the ones in this movie.
I mean, yeah, and that's the thing is that it brings up a bunch of urban legends, but the killer has nothing to do with those. Like she never because you could do a Bloody Mary thing. You trick somebody into doing Bloody Mary, and then you're like behind a mirror, and you break out of the mirror and get on like something. Like you could manufacture it just as easily as you manufactured this other shit she did. But then there's kills that she does that have nothing to do with urban legends at all, just because she was trying to kill somebody and they got away, so she has to chase them down halfway through campus and just catch them with a knife. Like whatever you planned went out the window.
Yeah, so the Damon Natalie thing, when Damon was trying to hook up with her, and they're in the middle of nowhere. They're like in the woods, just at this. I guess there's a trail down to that place for some reason, even though there's literally nothing to look at but trees. But after he gets killed and goes to the school cop, I don't remember her name, and they go back, there's nothing there. She's like, "Are you sure there was a car there?" I'm like, why are you so dumb? You can still start a car after you back it into the tree. It's not like it was totaled. Like, she's like, "Oh, yeah, the car's damaged. I can't start it now. No one can start this."
And that's the Joshua Jackson character who gets strung up in a tree, which is fine up until the reveal that it's Rebecca Gayheart who's the killer, who weighs, I don't know, 88 pounds. That girl. You're telling me she lifted Joshua Jackson up this tree all by herself? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how she kept overpowering like everyone until she pretty much overpowered everyone, because like it took both Jared Leto and Paul and Natalie to like take her out, and as you find out at the end, she's still somehow not dead.
Yeah, the balls on this sequel setup to like I don't, especially when I don't believe she appears in the second movie, so it's a complete waste of time.
Yeah, they could have just killed her, easily done a sequel, because it's like Scream. There's a different Ghostface every movie. You can just keep the urban legend killer, but it's someone different.
Are you excited for Scream 5?
I don't know. Like, yeah, but also, if it's not good, I'm gonna be sad.
Yeah, I feel like it's maybe going back to a well that they already went back to, because I wasn't I thought 4 was okay, but it felt just kind of really tacked on, and so I don't know what another one's gonna do for us, but especially when there's no Wes Craven involved.
Yeah,
so I don't know.
That's the main thing. I don't know. I like 4 more than I like 3. Like, I think 3 is the only one I don't really like. I love the first 2. I think 4 is fine. Like, I like it. And 3, it's just not that great.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay, so yeah, after the goth roommate dies. God. Okay, edit that out. After the goth roommate dies, the school, just trying to say her death is a suicide with absolutely like no indication, no investigation. They're just like, yeah, she was manically depressed. It was definitely a suicide. Tragic. I'm like, first of all, why do you not have a real cop at the school when there's all these deaths happening? Or a detective or something? And second of all,
campus police ain't gonna cut it anymore.
Yeah, for sure. And you just trying to say it's a suicide, like, is so shady. Like, what are you trying to cover up?
Well, and I don't remember. Did she get choked or stabbed or what?
I don't know, because she was just being strangled, but then there's blood everywhere when Natalie wakes up, so I guess she just, maybe, I don't really know what happened, because there's blood everywhere. It was all over her body.
Yeah, because that's the whole gag, is that, like, every time Natalie comes home, her roommate is having loud sex, and it's very annoying. So this time when she comes home, that's what she thinks she's hearing again, and just goes to bed while her roommate's getting killed 10 feet away. But yeah, it looked like she was just getting choked, but then there is lots of blood. But then how is that a suicide? She choked herself with her own hands and then stabbed herself after she passed out? Like, how could that possibly be a suicide? Exactly. If anything, they should be arresting Natalie because you were there. Like, you know, I mean, they question her, but then immediately land on suicide, which this is why you need actual police there and not Loretta Devine or whoever it is walking around.
Yeah, you need to get Sherlock Holmes on this. Call RDJ.
Like, you don't even need, like, the second best CSI team in the state could have figured that out. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. So, out of all the deaths, I think Parker, Michael Rosenbaum's character, probably had the most gross and disturbing one. Like, I don't like it. It's just gross.
Yeah, and I don't know what the urban legend that's an urban legend I've never heard of, that somebody drank Drano. I mean, I guess I've heard of people drinking Drano, but it wasn't like...
Yeah, that's just...
an urban legend. It was just like...
Yeah, it's like
a thing someone did to kill themselves once or something. Like,
just like drinking bleach. Like, that's not an urban legend. That people actually do that sometimes.
Have you heard the urban legend of the Tide Pods?
We had to take safety precautions to sell these now because kids were eating them. Yeah, I don't know. That also, the editing in that scene is so weird. Like, it keeps, like, the cuts are just so weird, from, like, the Drano being poured in Michael Rosenbaum's face. He's, like, twitching the entire time. I'm like, what are these edits?
Yeah, I was definitely getting into the quick cuts.
Yeah.
For that part in particular.
Yeah, so I think that was definitely the grossest death. The best death was probably the first one, the axe.
Yeah, it's a simple, like, death in and of itself, just cutting someone's head off with an axe, but just the whole setup leading up to it with the gas station attendant and the trying to warn her and all that, like, that was the best scene for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And then after Parker gets killed, we already mentioned this, but Sasha, she just gets beaten to death with an axe. But like, the chase scene is so long, and it's 100% like just that long to pad runtime, because it was not necessary to be like 10 minutes long.
Yeah, and I just remembered a thing. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit because I just remembered a thing. So the big climax when the killer's got Natalie tied up to the bed and is going to do the parlor scene and explain everything to her. Why and how did she get all the bodies of everyone she killed and bring them back to the house?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Like, I guess just to make Natalie suffer some more or something? I don't really know. Because, like, basically the setup was she opened the door, there was a dead body. She, like, went somewhere else. Oh, there's another dead body.
Yeah, every door and closet she opens, the dead body falls out. That's been placed in it. But, like, some of those people had already been, like, their bodies had been taken away by the morgue. So she would have had to have, like, broken into the hospital or the morgue or the funeral home or somewhere to steal these bodies back and then transport them back to the house. Like, it just seems like a lot of extra work for someone that you're going to kill in 5 minutes anyway. Like, it's kind of silly.
Yeah, a lot of extra work. Also, her setting Paul up to look like the killer. I mean, did anyone really think it was Paul?
No, they try hard, though. There's when they're, I think it's the gas station again they're at, where
Yeah.
Brenda and Natalie are out, and they're like, I don't remember what it is they see. They see something that makes them think it's him, and he's just in the gas station buying stuff. Like, oh, hey, girls, I'll be out in a minute.
Yeah.
So they take off, and he's chasing them because so it's Natalie and the killer are together, and she doesn't know because they think it's him.
Yeah. He's going in to get help, I believe, because this was right after Sasha died and Parker died. So, like, there's a bunch of deaths happening. They're like, we got to get out of here. Then Paul and Natalie run into Brenda. They're like, okay, let's get out of here. And they stop by a gas station. I believe he's trying to call for help. Like, call actual 911. Call the actual cops to get on this. And which they tried to do earlier also, but the dean, like, warned the cops that there were going to be pranksters calling and gave the names. That dean was just shady. But anyway, they start smelling something, and then they go check the back, and it's Wexler's body. So,
oh, right. Yeah, that's why they think it's him.
Yeah. And then they take off running.
But again, why kill Wexler?
Yeah, I know, right?
He has nothing to do with this.
They're like, this is Freddy Krueger. We're killing him.
I guess you just got to get the body count up one way or another. But
yeah, so why does Natalie not find it odd that Brenda just disappears, but she can hear Paul the entire time? Like,
yeah, and that's another way in these movies that you can kind of always figure out who the killer actually is. It's who's been missing for a while. Who haven't we seen on screen for a while? And then they reappear like, oh God, there you are. You're safe. It's probably them because you haven't seen them for a while because they've been busy killing people.
yeah, so she gets away from Paul by going. She finds the road and happens to run into the janitor. Gets in. I don't know what everyone in this movie is, like, so shady or so, like, creepy, because she sees the jacket, she freaks out, so she's like, let me out. And instead of him just saying, like, why do you want out? You're obviously in trouble. He's just like, nah, that's not gonna happen, and, like, grabs her. What do you think you're doing? I'm like, dude, you're you are definitely not making her feel like she's safe.
Yeah, here's attention dudes of the world. Here's a little moral lesson for you. If you're driving a girl somewhere for any purposes and she says, stop the car and let me out, stop the car and let her out. Because anything else that you're doing, no matter what your good intentions are, is making her feel like you're going to kill her. So just stop and let them out. Like,
yeah, middle of nowhere, let her out if she wants out. Her choice.
correct. Absolutely.
Okay, so she's with the janitor, and then the janitor, this urban legend is obviously the main one of the movie because of the twist, the headlight thing. Sees someone passing by, and he's like, oh, stupid kids. Because I guess the killer, I'm just going to say Brenda, we've already said who the killer is.
Yeah.
Brenda doesn't have her headlights on. I didn't notice that, but I'm assuming she didn't have her headlights on. So he flashes his headlights, and then she turns around. So, hot pursuit, and this dude's truck is so slow. It's an older truck. And when they crash, he gets killed. Absolutely nothing happens to Natalie. I'm like, okay, that can definitely happen. Like, the driver or the passenger can, like, die. But the other person's surely gonna get, like, some kind of damage. Like, maybe not anything fatal or even, like, anything broken. But at least a few scratches, right?
Well, especially since, I guess I didn't look that closely, but I would assume that he at least maybe had his seatbelt on. She for sure didn't, because she was preparing to jump out of a moving vehicle.
Yeah,
so she didn't have her seatbelt on. She should have gone through the windshield.
Yeah, that's true too. Like, yeah, okay, never mind. That's definitely not what would happen. She would have flew through the windshield, or because they were going pretty fast, and they like went off the edge of the road into like, it's not really a ditch. It's deeper than a ditch. I don't really know what to call it, but
yeah, like a culvert or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. But that whole car chase scene is strange because she had run away from Natalie, right?
Natalie had
Natalie had run away from Brenda, right?
No, Brenda like split. Natalie and Brenda split, and Natalie was running away from Paul.
All right, yeah, and Brenda was pretending to run away from Paul. But so then she went from the field they were running through and found a random car somewhere and got in it, and then happened upon them on the road going the other direction. Like, I don't know, in the course of like 3 minutes. I don't know how she pulled that off.
Yeah, that's... I don't know. Paul was chasing her for... I mean, it'd still be like 5-6 minutes, but Paul was chasing Natalie for like maybe 2 minutes, and then she found the car. And, I mean, I guess it's a good thing she kind of knew the dude, and it wasn't just an absolute random stranger. I like earlier in the movie when Jared Leto, or Paul, I'm just going to keep calling them by their Jared Leto. He asked the janitor, how long you been working here? And his answer is just, too damn long. That's like everyone's answer to working a job they freaking hate.
Yeah, especially if you're the janitor.
Yeah, I know. Oh my god. I was like, dude, I would not have been a janitor that long. They better be giving you like raise after raise for you to stay.
I'm sure somewhere out there is a happy janitor, but I've never met him.
Possibly, but I'll tell you what. I don't want to be a janitor. I've worked restaurant jobs, and I don't have to mop like as much as they do, and I hate mopping. I definitely don't want to do that my whole life.
I mean, I've done it. It sucks. It's not something you want to find yourself doing for decades at a time. That's for sure.
Heck no. So yeah, he dies. Natalie's perfectly fine somehow by some miracle because she's the chosen one in this movie apparently. Then she goes back to the school. So first of all, her and Paul definitely would have died if this didn't happen. She hit the 911 thing, so the cop knew where to go. And then she goes into the room, sees all the dead bodies, and she's like, oh my god, Brenda's just laying on a bed. Like, she doesn't even really look dead. She's just, like, chilling. She's asleep. Or something.
Yeah, I don't know who they thought they were fooling with this. Like,
me either.
As an audience member, you'd have to be a little on the slow side to look at that setup and go, oh, poor Brenda's dead too. Like, come on. You know as soon as you walked in the room that what's going on here.
Yeah, so she gets chloroformed, wakes up, and she's like, this is another urban legend I've never heard of. Like, why is this an urban legend? Kidney heist? It's basically about...
you never heard that?
It's about a woman drugging a dude, correct? And taking his
Yeah,
kidney?
there's different variations on it. The main one is... yeah, like you met a sexy lady at the bar and you went back to her her hotel room or whatever, and you get knocked out and you wake up in a bathtub full of ice with a note saying, we took your kidneys, you have this long to get to a doctor before you're in trouble, you know?
Yeah, no, I've never heard of that. I need to do some urban legend research, apparently.
And there's a variation on that that's sort of the same setup with the girl in the hotel room, and then the guy wakes up the next day, or sometimes there's a girl who wakes up, and written on the mirror is like, welcome to the wonderful world of HIV or hepatitis or some,
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know that was... Yeah, I've heard that before. I didn't know it was classified under legend, but... Yeah, I mean, I know people that have been roofied. You can definitely just drug someone, which is a pretty scary thing. Don't do anything with strangers, guys.
Yeah, don't
take any drinks from them, at least.
Yeah, don't take unsolicited drinks from people, especially dudes, because dudes are terrible. Dudes, stop being terrible. These are my sage words of advice.
Yeah, so she's about to take her kidney. Then the cop comes in. Brenda calls her Rent-A-Cop. Oh, Rent-A-Cop to the rescue. Her line delivery is just like so insane in this movie. Anyone that wants to hear some like badly delivered lines that are kind of comical, go watch like the last 10 minutes of Urban Legend. You'll have a fun time.
She's not wrong though. Like this, she's not a real cop.
She's definitely not.
She's just like the campus rent-a-cop who, up until this moment in the movie, has been botching this investigation completely.
Yeah, she's been useless. Like, she didn't even really think anything was going on until she finally found an actual dead body, and it was in Wexler's office, correct? I'm pretty sure, or somewhere. Is in some room in the school.
Yeah,
I think it would have had to been because he was like the only other dead body we saw, and we know where everyone else died at, which means she found his dead body and freaked out about the blood and stuff. Which means as Brenda was killing Sasha, the cop was going to save her. And Natalie kills her, Brenda kills her, and then goes back to Wexler's office, and the time that the cop gets to Sasha, somehow gets his body into the back of Paul's vehicle, and then runs into Paul and Natalie in time to like go with them. Like, her timing is so insane.
Yeah, there's real timeline and geography issues the further we get into the movie. But is it the dean's body that the cop found? Maybe.
I don't think so because
the dean gets it. The dean gets it rough.
Yeah, he does, but I don't.
He gets run over.
Yeah, do you think
by his own car and squashed down onto those tire spikes, tire popping spikes?
If those spikes looked more real when they did that close up, I probably would have cringed a bit more because I don't do good with that kind of stuff. So, ready or not, there's a scene where she goes through the gate and it's like cutting her skin. That was grosser than like everyone blowing up, like people blowing up, like literally seeing guts. It's just like the action of it happening is grosser to me than the actual visual is. I don't know why. I guess because I can kind of feel it. I'm like, oh, that hurts.
No, that totally makes sense. It's that psychological sort of, because you can see how that could actually happen. Like a room full of people exploding supernaturally. You're like, well, that would never happen. But, an injury that you could see happening to you if you had a really bad day,
That's very fair. Yeah, so Paul finally comes in after the cop does nothing again. She just kind of gets owned by Brenda. Paul finally comes in, and he's trying to act like he's on Brenda's side. Like, yeah, I need this report for my career. Go ahead and tell me everything. Give me that gun. As soon as he says, give me the gun, she's like, hell no. You're cute, but not that cute, Paul.
Yeah, it's a pretty good moment, and it's a pretty good performance on his part, because there actually is for a second there, I was like, oh shit, is he like a killer too? Is it like Scream 1 where there's two of them? Like, is he part of the Team Brenda, you know?
Yeah.
And then a couple seconds later, it's like, oh, okay, he's trying to trick her. But like when it first started, it was like, oh shit, where's this going? So
Yeah, I thought that too. Like, the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, okay, Jared Leto. Then once that happens, I'm like, okay, Jared Leto's just a good actor. He can actually make you buy it. And then the rent-a-cop shoots her. And Natalie and Paul. I feel weird saying one's character name and the other as an actor. Natalie and Paul take off. And you think the movie's about to end. And they're like, it's Paul that says, so if this is an urban legend, when do we get to the twist? And she's in the backseat again. I'm like, yeah, how did she get down there so quickly? Because they obviously left before she did.
yeah, and that's also, that line in particular is so like meta, like ripped off from Scream. I didn't appreciate that. The rest of the movie's not really like that, but that's a real like wink at the audience, like
So much. That's
waka waka waka. Like, I don't need that.
Yeah, that's what makes Scream special, though, because they do meta and they do it right most of the time. Like, most things that try to be meta don't really do it successfully. It just takes a good story. It's just good storytelling.
Well, I think the difference is that in the Scream movie, certainly the first two anyway,
Well,
the meta nature, it's kind of, it's meta to the characters, but it's not, I don't know, I feel like it's not as winky to the audience.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's like meta within the world of the movie, but not meta to us, if that makes any sense. Whereas this was way more like Jared Leto saying to the audience watching the movie, like, you know, we're not done, right? Like, there has to be another, I don't know, it just felt really different and not as good.
Yeah, like, where's the twist? And she rises up, and they're like, oh my god, at least they noticed. Well, I mean, the first chick did too, to be fair. She saw it in the rearview mirror, and she was like, oh, shit.
Too late.
And I guess she was driving, I'm sure she was driving a lot faster than Leto was.
Yeah.
And she swings at Leto, and Leto is just a G, and he dunks that shit. And she just gets double teamed, basically. Then she goes for Natalie after he dunks, and Leto just pulls her back. Leto was apparently the only one that could, like, do anything to her at all on a physical level, because literally all that happens to her in this movie is she gets shot, and then Jared Leto, like, pulls her back.
Yeah, it's like when she had the coat on, which, first off, what a lame slasher costume.
Yeah, very.
This fur, like, this is kind of even worse than I Know You Did Last Summer, is just a guy in, like, a yellow raincoat. Like,
yeah, no, I wasn't.
This is kind of worse than that. But when she's in costume, being a slasher, killing people, she's so strong, and she can throw guys around the room and lift guys up. But, like, once we know it's her and we can see that it's Rebecca Gayheart, she's like 90 pounds, soaking wet, then Jared Leto has no problem sort of physically handling her.
Yeah, then I don't even exactly remember the ending. I know she ends up going through the window, right? Through some window. I don't even remember where they end up.
See, I'm glad you said that, because I'm struggling to remember too. I couldn't remember. I thought she went out the window when the cop shot her. Like, out the, like, a second or third floor window.
Yes, she did. She did. Okay, I guess that explains how she got to the car faster. She went out the window.
But then she's in the car. Well, number one, you come downstairs after you've shot the killer out the window, and the killer is, her body's not there. You don't relax.
Exactly.
You're not like, oh, movie's over, let's go for a drive. No, fuck no. You call the police, you find that body, because she ain't dead. What are you doing?
Oh my god. Yeah, exactly. Okay, well,
But then they're in the car, and then I don't remember how they get away from her in the car.
Oh, no. I remember now. So, I'm pretty sure somehow the car just crashes, and I'm assuming Leto or Paul and Natalie both had their seatbelts on, and she didn't because she goes flying out the window into the river.
Oh, yeah, that's what it is.
And then the end scene is a flash forward. I don't know if it said how many years later, but it's some years later. I don't know if it's 25 again or just like 10, 15, something like that. And they're talking about this, kind of like they were talking about the whatever massacre in the whole movie. And the urban legend killings were replicating that. They're talking about the urban legend killings now. And they're like, yeah, they never found the body. And then no one believes this dude that's talking. Then you hear, I believe it. And it cuts over to Rebecca Gayheart. She's still alive.
It must be only like 2 or 3 or 4 years later.
Yeah, it can't be that
looks
much
exactly
longer.
the same. She hasn't aged or anything, so.
I feel like that's such a short period of time for like no one to believe that though, when it actually did happen.
Yeah, but then if that's the case, they should have like put some gray in her hair or some age makeup or something, because she looks exactly the same as she did through the rest of the movie.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, that's true. They should have done something, at least age her face up a little.
So my assumption was it was max 5 years later.
Yeah, probably, because she looks exactly the same. I guess she, like, changed her name or something. She must be getting all these ID changes. I don't know how long she's been doing this. I wonder what her name is now.
And now is it like, okay, I got my revenge out of the way, I just want to be a normal student now? Like, I threw away my college years being a psycho killer, now I just want to get an education. Or is she gonna start killing again? But then why? Because the one person you actually want to kill is long gone, got away somewhere. She's not back at this school, I wouldn't assume. It's amazing anyone's back at the school because it should have been shut down.
Yeah, 25 years before the urban legend killings in 1973.
Yeah, there was this big massacre at a party 25 years ago, and then a bunch more kids died on this campus's watch, plus the dean and a professor. Like, just close it down. Like, we're done here. You guys obviously can't handle being a college, so...
You guys obviously create a bunch of psychopaths. We don't know what you are teaching these children.
Also, if I'm sitting in a room, if I'm sitting around the student lounge, and I'm talking with my friends about a scary story, and then a girl I don't know speaks up and is like, oh, that's not what happened, let me tell you what happened, I'm leaving that room because that girl's the killer. No shit.
I'm definitely leaving that room. I am withdrawing from school. I'm not even transferring. I do not want this chick to have any records of where I went.
Because that's the shit the killer says.
Definitely. God. And that's the movie. It's definitely got its flaws, but overall I think it's maybe not like a good movie. It's a decent movie, I think. It's a good watch though. Like, if you haven't watched it, I would recommend it.
Yeah, I was happy to revisit it. I didn't regret it because I hadn't seen it since 1998 or whenever. So, I had forgotten most of it. I sort of vaguely maybe remembered that she was the killer, but maybe, I don't know. But
yeah,
it was totally worth a revisit. Not a great movie, but I think a good movie. It's fine. I think it's it's not Scream level, but
yeah, there's definitely some dumb things that happen, but I think it does a good job of keeping your interest, and it's paced pretty well. So it's not boring, which the greatest movie sin you can commit is being boring.
yeah, it's not boring. It's not painful to watch. It's a perfectly entertaining hour and a half, no problem.
Also has Jared Leto and Michael Rosenbaum. Go check it out.
Sure.
So, I don't know. Okay, so I'm sure you know this by now, but we have a very strange grading scale. It's different all the time.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, so you say Bloody Mary 5 times to raise the dead. How many Bloody Marys out of 5 would you give this?
Well, I mean, I'm even as a grown ass man who knows better, I'm not going to say it 3 times for your stupid rating scale. So I'm going to say 2, just because I'm not saying Bloody Mary more than twice in a row.
Wait, is it 3 times or 5 times?
See, that's where you get in trouble because you don't know. You think it's 5, and then she comes out and gets you at 3.
Oh.
Don't fuck with it.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna go with 2 as well then.
I'm just kidding. I don't believe in Bloody Mary.
Yeah, we
Now
don't.
I've said it 3 times.
Hey, didn't even know it. I know I've said it 3 times through this podcast. I've probably said it like 7.
But we weren't looking in a mirror unless you count the black mirror. Whoa.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm definitely not looking in the mirror. Alright, so, do you have anything you want to plug? Well, first of all, like I said at the beginning, go check his episode out where we talked about Night of the Living Dead Resurrection. Just go check his podcast out, be a usual listener if you enjoy it. Go support him. So, do you have anything else you'd like to plug?
Well, the my podcast is on Twitter. It's that's so random P2. I'm at Heath Lambert 78. Yeah, give the show a listen. We have I have a lot of different guests. I'm about to have my second filmmaker on. And we just we'll definitely be talking about movies that you've probably never heard anyone talk about before, which is something, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. We have fun. It's just a little DIY show that I do. I'm not making any money off it, that's for sure. But it's just, I wanted something creative to do during the quarantine and pandemic, and I don't know. That's what I went with. But we have fun. Give it a listen. If you followed me over here from my show to listen to this show, keep listening to these guys because they're funny too. And thanks for having me, man. This is a cool crossover.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe we should do it some other time if we get the chance.
Yeah, what kind of like if I have a movie that pops up, because again, my movies are all at random, so I never know what I'm going to get until I'm recording the episode before it. But what's a movie that if it popped up, you want me to immediately message you and say, I've got the movie for you?
Like a specific movie?
Or, maybe not a specific movie, because what are the chances that it will randomly come up? But
I don't know. I'm into
not zombie movies. We learned that.
Yeah, I'm not into zombie movies. I'm into thrillers, horror, like as long as it's at least decent. If it's bad, then I don't know. Some horror movies that they're like stupid bad but not boring, I can do. But like, as long as it's not boring, as long as it's got some kind of story to it.
Yeah, it's probably bad. I mostly get bad movies, just luck of the draw. But
yeah, as long as it's not boring, thrillers, horror. I mean, if you happen to get any comic book movies, I don't know what's all on your list. Definitely, even if it's like Still, I'll watch Still. I don't care.
Anything that's streaming from the services that I have, which is all of them except for CBS All Access. I think is the only one I don't.
Okay.
have. So it could be literally anything.
Yeah, if you get Catwoman, I'll watch Catwoman. I've never seen it.
I hope I don't get Catwoman. Actually, it would be fun to talk about that.
Yeah, if you get a comic book movie, definitely.
All right, I will keep you in mind for that. If you ever decide to talk about, I don't know, The Crow or My Chemical Romance. I'm making it sound like I'm the most emo teenager in the world. I'm 43 fucking years old, but I like those things. Or Deadpool. I don't know. I literally have every single Deadpool comic ever published.
Oh, dang.
So if you ever talk about Deadpool, I don't know.
We'll definitely get around to Deadpool. I don't know if we'll do that. If we're not there before Deadpool 3 comes out, we're definitely going to cover those before Deadpool 3. So, as long as this podcast is still going, keep supporting, guys. Hoping we can keep it going.
I don't know. I like all kinds of stuff, and I can talk about anything. So,
All right.
whenever you feel like it, whenever you need a guest, I'm around. Give me a buzz, and I will be more than happy to reappear.
Yeah, sure thing. Same for you. If you don't have a guest, just hit me up.
All right.
All right. So
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody else.
no problem. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Go check out us podcast. You can find me on Twitter at @theredarrow_YT. Support me on Patreon if you want. It doesn't really matter. Just share the podcast. Share my videos if you watch on YouTube. Keep supporting. It means everything. It really helps. Helps with the algorithm. Everything like that. So, thank you guys so much for listening. We'll see you guys next time. Who knows what we're going to do?